Very intelligent move to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, as always, coming to you from studios provided by First Star Logistics as well. And we've got the dean, we've got the man, Darrin Simmons, his 23rd year with the Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think any other coach in the NFL can say that 23 straight years with the same organization. Man, that's pretty impressive. Darrin Simmons as well, assistant head coach, as well as special teams coordinator. He has an input in what goes on with this organization in every way possible. At the Combine, he's invaluable because he's evaluating everybody as the assistant head coach and special teams coordinator, because a lot of people contribute to special teams regardless of your position. He has to also evaluate punters and kickers, and he's a busy guy. The scouting department and the personnel department, they value the opinion that Darrin Simmons has on players, not just specialists. Darrin Simmons has done it unbelievably well for a lot of years. He talks about those years with the Cincinnati Bengals, a lot of the great players that he's had during that time frame. Darrin Simmons, 1-1 in my opinion. I think he's the best in the National Football League. We know there's a lot of things you could be doing, a lot of things everybody could be doing, but we certainly do appreciate you doing it with us and taking the time to join us in the trenches with Dave Lapham, brought to you by First Star Logistics, coming to you from our amazing studios, as we always do. First Star Logistics is top shelf in that regard, as is our guest, going into his 23rd season with the Cincinnati Bengals, the longest tenured coach with one team, I think, in the league right now, if I'm not mistaken. Bengals special teams coach, Darrin Simmons. And I'll tell you what, this guy was an academic All-American punter himself, was, a great punter at Kansas. He's coached. He starts out as a strength and conditioning coach as well as assistant special teams coach. So he's very, very versatile himself. And the biggest thing, any coach, all coaches that I had a high regard for, I both respected and trusted. And I can tell you there's not one player that has played for Darrin Simmons that does not have the utmost respect and utmost trust in him, not only as a coach, but as a human being. Coach, appreciate you carving time with us, sir.
Well, appreciate being here, man. That's quite an introduction. If I'm having a bad day, I just got to make sure I schedule a spot with you, and that turns the corner and everything fast for me, right?
I'll tell you, well deserved and well earned, man. I'm telling you. Yeah, it's been a heck of a run. I mean, not only special teams coordinator, but assistant head coach. The Bengals organization thinks extremely highly of you. Tell us a little bit about the assistant head coach responsibilities. I mean, a lot of listeners, aren't quite sure, and it probably varies from organization to organization, but with respect to the Cincinnati Bengals, what kind of things does the assistant head coach get himself involved with?
Well, that comes to me with a lot of things, whether it's behind the scenes things with personal, how should we handle this? What's been my experience in the past in dealing with certain things, whether it be personnel, whether it be schedule, whether it be strategic things. When it comes to football, I think I serve as a sounding board to him, mainly as a guy who's been in the league for a long time, been around this organization for a long time, how things, have been done in the past, maybe gives him better understanding for, maybe why we've done things the way we've done in the past. And is that the best way to do it going forward, or do we need to work on changing things? So, there's a variety of things behind the scenes, I think, that I try to help him with, and really just be a support lever for him, in anything that he needs to help him do his job, or help make his job easier. I mean, he's got a lot on his plate, whether it be dealing with the whole team, and in addition to calling plays for us and being the play caller. So I feel like there's quite a few things behind the scenes I try to help with.
Coach, you've had a myriad of players make the Pro Bowl. You've had Pro Bowl punters. You've had Pro Bowl holders that were punters as well, I guess. You've had Pro Bowl snappers. You've had Pro Bowl cover guys. I know this is probably unfair right off the top of your head, but how many Pro Bowlers have you had from a special team standpoint? It's got to be coming up on, I know it's more than a half a dozen. I mean, it's got to be a significant number.
It's been a couple of years since we've had anybody. It's really cool. Actually, I have a football at home dating back from when I first got in the league. Of all the guys that I've been around that have made the Pro Bowl in some level of special teams, it's pretty cool. It's one of my most prized possessions. It's from from Michael Bates. A lot of people don't know who Michael Bates is, but he was a medal winner in the Olympics in the 200-meter dash.
Right.
Played at the University of Arizona. Was on the 75th anniversary team, all NFL team as the kickoff returner. He was a great cover player. Also, that dates back with the Carolina Panthers. There was Jermaine Lewis, Steve Smith. There's a bit, like I said, Todd Sauerbrunn, who was a punter.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of guys, whether it's Adam Jones, Kevin Huber, Clark.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of guys that, and that's unique that you say that. I haven't looked at that ball in a while, so it means we need to get somebody back in the Pro Bowl again. That's one of my most prized possessions, that football, just being around all the guys that have made the Pro Bowl.
I mean, honestly, it's you've had Shane Graham, I think, Pro Bowler, right? Yeah.
Shane Graham, Cedric Pierman.
Both
has made it as a cover player. So, there've been a few.
Money Mac, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's there's, I think it's probably getting closer to a dozen that you've had. I mean, that's a heck of a run, man. It really is.
Good players make good coaches. I can tell you that. That's a fact.
So you've probably been to the combine as much as any coach in the National Football League, and the combine just being completed here in Indianapolis this past week. What was your takeaway from the combine? I know the league has reached out to you. You've been very instrumental in tweaking things with respect to the combine, and they value your opinion on so many things. What do you think the future holds for the combine? Do you see any other major changes in the combine, or do you think it's pretty much status quo now?
Well, I mean, I think there's a bit of a disturbing trend in my own mind that I feel like this year there were less and less guys that worked out, less guys that ran, maybe than at any point that of the combine. And I worry it's just going to become a medical showcase is all it's going to become. And, one of the most invaluable tools in my own mind about going to the combine for me as a coach, from a club's perspective, is to get all the medical information that you can on somebody. But for me as a coach, it's about, interviewing each one of these guys, seeing what type of football background they have, but more importantly, it's about what type of personality they have. Is it somebody that can understand the things we're going to coach and teach? Does his goals align with what our goals need to be? Will he fit in with the culture of our team, or will he not? And I think that what's very unique about the combine is you have to try to make that read or make that impression in a total of about 20 minutes. You kind of got to give the guy a yay or a nay in your own mind, and you just have to learn how to read people very fast. It's just not our last exposure to them. We can do things like talk to these guys on the phone. We can interview them via Zoom again also. So there's a lot of different tools, but there's nothing like having a face-to-face meeting where you can get a feel for what their body mannerisms are, how they respond. It's just a different feel from being face to face with somebody as opposed to on a screen. And so I really think that they've got to get something figured out about getting more guys to come there and work out and showcase what they can do physically. So, to run, be a part of the workout. So I feel like there's just a little less than what there's been in the past. I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree, 100,000%. A guy like you that's been around so long has made contacts in the coaching profession,
Mhm.
professionally, collegiately, with coaches, with players, I mean, I would think that you can probably research and find out more about a player coming out in the draft from a personality standpoint. How
Yeah.
does he handle others? Is he a team
Mhm.
guy? What's he all about? Those kind of things can be tiebreakers, can't they?
Oh, for sure. And even though, I may be talking to a player and identifying, all right, does he fit on our team? Well, if I don't feel like he fits on our team, I don't shut the guy off. I'm still interviewing him because I may have to play against him. So then for me, it becomes a scouting. It's like, what if he plays in, one of our division opponents? I get good background information on when I play against him, or what his mindset is, how he thinks, how he's going to react to certain things that come his way. So, not only am I talking, will he fit on our team? If he doesn't fit on our team, how's he going to fit on another team, and what's he going to be like when we play against him? So there's a lot. Like I said, it's very valuable to me.
So the combine, I mean, you don't necessarily give a written test, that sort of thing, see what
Mhm.
kind of a learner they are and all that sort of thing, or do you do that on a very, very limited basis, and you do that more when you visit the player and all that?
I think because there's so many other opportunities that you have to get to know these guys. I think this for me is because I look at so many guys. It's putting a face with a name, or putting a face with what I see on tape. And so it's just an introduction to what these guys are. Finding out about their background, where they're from, how they were brought up, how do they respond to different ways to learn. Then we can get into the nuts and bolts things. If they pass all those tests, if they check all those boxes, then you can go further on down the line, in my mind, to more of the nuts and bolts of the football stuff.
You
So
got to
really,
be
it's just an introduction to these guys.
right, right. You have to be an invaluable tool to Duke Tobin and his personnel department, because you're a guy that, like you said, you're interviewing everybody. I mean, as a special teams coach, you're not necessarily a specific position group guy, and assistant head coach as well. I mean, you have a broad spectrum now. You're taking a good look at everybody, and I'm sure when you have meetings, coaching staff and personnel department, and here in Cincinnati, they commingle, work very much hand in hand. Your opinion has to carry a lot of weight, Coach.
Well, that's up to the people upstairs, and those people. If they want to listen, I have an opinion on things. If they want to listen, and if they don't. But I still have my own opinions I have to form about where I see,
Sure.
things how they affect my world. I think that's also part about being an assistant head coach. Not only am I selfish enough to want the best players just to play in the special teams, but how do they fit for the rest of our team? Does it make sense, offensively or defensively, with how you put the team together? The 53-man roster, then the 40 whatever it is, 48-man roster on game day. How does that all fit and work together? So yeah, I mean, I think that's a big part of my job is roster management and personnel management, and who guys are going to be available. How do you acquire them first and foremost? How you get them on your team? Then more importantly, how do you get them active and playing on game day? And then what positions do you put them in? So there's a lot of background that process starts, and it started this past week with the combine.
And not only the process of evaluating, the college prospects with the combine, the evaluation process starts there, but you're evaluating your own players, because the free agency period starts, franchise tag period has expired. Now guys are out there, unrestricted free agents, restricted free agents, keeping your own people, taking a look at veteran players from other football teams, as well as the combine, the draft, college free agents, as well as meeting as a staff, because you got a lot of new members to your staff. So all the meetings that go on at the combine, how many of those meetings are just staff meetings, getting kind of familiar with each other, maybe exchanging ideas from a schematic standpoint and all that kind of thing? Or is that something that's kicked down the road a little bit?
I think it's something that has to kind of be that really took place a little bit before. I think offensively and defensively, those staffs met, and got accustomed to each other. What are we looking for here? What are the basic premises of what our scheme is, both offensively and defensively? I'm fortunate. I had to go through that a year ago whenever Colt Anderson, the guy that I worked with, went to Tennessee. And we had to hire Ben Jacobs, a new guy. So I spent all of our free time at the combine, talking with him through our way of football. So every free second we had at the combine a year ago, I spent on teaching him the way that we do our special teams work here. What are we looking for in players? Here's the schemes. Here's the rules. Here's the various things that we do that way. We did that at the combine. I think offensively and defensively, because the schedules are so disjointed, I don't know if there's a lot of time to do that at the combine, both offensively and defensively. I think some of that got done beforehand. I think the difficult part also for offensive defensive staffs is because all these pro days are about to begin. Again, the staff gets disjointed, meaning, the offensive line coach may be going to wherever, Southern Cal to work out an offensive lineman. The tight end coach may be going to West Virginia to work out a tight end. The running back coach goes here, and this happens at various points. So I think you're doing a good job of kind of blocking out a couple days, throughout this next month that, hey, nobody's on the road, everybody's here in the office, so we can talk our football. And so I think Pitch has done a good job of that. I think Al's done a lot of that. And I know now they're talking through offensive defensive scheme too, while they have time to do it. So I think it's really about maximizing each second that you have here in the office to be as efficient as you possibly can, whether it's working on, your own scheme, whether it's working on NFL free agency, or whether it's working on college evaluation. So it's a very, very, very busy time.
Boy, is it ever. There's absolutely no question about that. So tell us a little bit about some of the specialists that you did see at the combine, and maybe there's always guys that you're going to evaluate at wide receiver or defensive back, linebacker, guys, they're going to be running for you, coverage teams, return teams. I mean, it's supposed to be a pretty deep draft in a lot of places in quite a few position groups. Does that trickle down to your special teams categories as well?
Yeah, I think it does to a degree. Again, we're always looking to try to improve at every position, whether it's a kicker, whether it's a punter, whether it's a snapper. You're always, looking at those spots. All right, is this guy better than what we have in Ev McPherson? Is this guy better than what we have in Ryan Rico? Is this guy better than Cal Adamitis? And I think that's what you always have to balance. And I feel very comfortable with all the guys we have. I think we finally get a good young core group in place. That now maybe my focus isn't quite as much on the specialists as it's been. We've kind of been through a process of evolving in those three positions, over the course of the last 5 years. It started with, us finding Evan. Then we had to try to find a replacement for Kevin, and then ultimately finding a replacement for Clark. We knew that time was coming, and we tried to do it incrementally. So it's not all just mass changeover at once. It kind of ended up happening that way with I feel like we finally settled in on the punter position, and we found a good guy there in Ryan. And if you see that with us re-signing him, and kind of the same thing with Cal. But we're always looking for competition at each of those spots, and this year's no different. But like I said earlier, it's not only am I evaluating these guys, do they fit us, do they improve us? But if they don't, what happens whenever we play against them? So again, it's not only scouting for us, it's scouting for what we may face playing against these guys in the future. I think it's always unique too that I'm one of the coaches, as you kind of stated, down on the field, and it gives me great perspective, not only to see these guys up close and personal, so I can, it sounds sometimes it's just some guys when they punt a ball or kick a ball, it just sounds different. Everybody says that, but it does. It's a fact. It sounds different, and it looks different coming off their foot. That was one thing that I really noticed, like when I scouted Evan, was the ball just sounded different and it looked different coming off his foot. And the same thing with Ryan Rico. It looked different. It was different. And so I get a firsthand perspective of seeing that. I got a chance to take a look at the top guys, the top punters, the top kickers, the top snappers this year. I think it was very unique. I think there were 7 American punters that were there, 5 of which were Australian guys. So, the down under movement has really made its way, especially in college football, because, it makes some sense in college football. A lot of teams go to these Australian punters because of their background in Aussie rules football. Sometimes it doesn't always equate to our league, but there's a lot of Australian punters there that I thought that performed well. I thought there were some kickers that did pretty well too, and we've kind of changed, as you said, and evolved that workout to get a broader look at the things. We've moved it back and are attempting longer field goals now than we ever have. I think it is a reflection of kind of where the league is. So there's some very interesting guys to see.
I tell you, you've got both your punter and your kicker when healthy. It's like they have dynamite caps on their toes, man. I mean, it's like Ryan Rico sets a record the first game he punts in. I mean, the guy's punting the ball over 60 yards. It's like, what the heck, man? And Money Mac is, like you said, it's an explosive scenario with that ball coming off his foot. That's a heck of a duo. I thought Cade York performed admirably for you, but obviously having Money Mac back and healthy is going to be a big deal.
Well, that's got to be Evan's biggest thing now is he's got to figure out a way to stay completely healthy, because it's such a premium position that you have in that spot. Obviously, I think he was disappointed in the way that this year, went for him. We were part of a couple losses, frankly, that we're used to winning those games and winning on those plays that we missed out on this year. And so that part was disappointing. I think that those three guys, Cal, Ryan, and Evan, just need to spend a lot of time on tasks together. We've in Evan's 4 years here, I think he's had 4 different holders. He's had Kevin Huber, he's had Drew Chrisman, he's had Brad Robbins, and now he's with Ryan Rico. So we just need to get things settled for him and make things consistent so it looks the same to him all the time. And so the consistency of time on task for all three of those guys is going to be the biggest point that we have throughout the offseason, throughout training camp, and into the season, is just getting these guys as much work as they can together and making that a consistent operation on the field goal, one that we can get back to counting on like we used to.
How about position players that give you valuable snaps in terms of coverage and return teams? Is there anybody that once the season was over with, you say, boy, kudos to this guy?
Well, you mean from our team?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, we had a couple guys I thought played really well. I thought we're led by Tyson Anderson. He's our most productive player. I think he led the NFL in tackles from the gunner position. We've got to make him take the step to the next level of becoming a Pro Bowl level player by making more plays on kickoff. When the opportunity presents itself, potentially there may be a rule change that moves the touchback on balls going into the end zone from a 30 to the 35. So I think that will potentially provide more opportunities to make more tackles on kickoff instead of just hitting touchbacks as we do a lot. I think that it's going to be a little bit more difficult just to give that 35-yard line up if you want to take a touchback. So hopefully the opportunities will be there for us to cover. When we did kick it in a position to cover, we covered well. I think we finished second in the league in kickoff coverage when we did cover. So, maybe I think there'll be more of those opportunities to do that. And Tyson's certainly a guy that is going to be at the forefront of what we do there. I think, Akeem Davis-Gaither is a free agent, did a nice job for us. Even when he became a starter on defense, he still played on the punt team for us. He was still a big leader for us in the things that he did. We had some other guys. DJ Ivey was the gunner opposite of Tyson. He continues to grow and develop. I think it's the biggest positive that came from both Tyson and DJ is to show the resiliency they did to come back from a major injury. And both these guys are coming back from torn ACLs, which is a big deal, especially from a skill position like those guys playing safety and corner. Linebacker, I think Shaka Hayward came up and played some critical snaps for us at the end of the year as a young guy that trying to find his way and make a name for himself in this league. I thought Mumijang Meta made some plays on kickoff, showed some of the things that he can do. He still has a long way to go as a player to really set his chin in our league and to be a force to be reckoned with. So, we got a lot of young players, I think, that played a lot of key and critical snaps for us, and those are a few.
Coach, the thing, you've been at the Combine for a lot of years now, not just with the Cincinnati Bengals, but as you mentioned, Carolina Panthers and others. And, man, the thing that blows my mind, and I'm going back to the 70s now. My rookie year was 1974. I went to the Combine in 73. And you see guys 6'3", 230 pounds, running sub 4.5, broad jumping 11 feet, vertical jump of 43 inches. I'm like, what the heck? Are you kidding me? And then to see a defensive lineman weighing 335 pounds running in the 4.8s, I'm like, man, I mean, they're just getting bigger, faster, stronger, more athletic. It is crazy, the athleticism of these body types. It really is, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's it's all part of the evolution of the league and how these guys have changed, how important the training is, and how specialized the training is. They become, and sometimes I think that's a good thing. Sometimes, again, with some of the training methods and modules these guys have, I don't know that it's always the best. You're always looking for guys that play multiple sports. They're not just football players, but I'm always interested to hear what other sports they played. Did they play basketball? They play baseball. They run track. They play, again, in my area, they play, almost all of them played soccer, have some type of soccer background. But it's always unique to hear all the different backgrounds that they came from in their development to get to where they're at now. And because we're talking about players that are at the highest of the highest level of college football. And, it's always very, very neat to see on a year-to-year basis how the top guys, the bar just keeps getting raised up, on what they look like.
You had a brilliant career as a punter for the Jayhawks at University of Kansas. You got into coaching, and who was the biggest influence on you, maybe to get into coaching, and maybe had the biggest influence on you in the early stages of your coaching career?
Well, it's a great question, and it's something I probably don't talk about enough. My uncle was a strength coach in the NFL. His name is Darrin Simmons,
Yep.
and he's the one that kind of helped me get started in coaching and really in the NFL. He really was instrumental in helping provide an opportunity or for me, to get in this league. It's something that I wanted to do, and continue my career. And I think John Fox always said, that the coaches are we're just players that can't play anymore or aren't good enough to play. And that's about right. So if I wasn't good enough to play, then what the next best thing is to try to coach somebody to do it. So, I always felt like I could do a career in coaching. My uncle gave me an opportunity or the pathway for me to get into the NFL. He was the one that provided that chance. And then Scott O'Brien really helped hone me into the kicking game or to special teams. He taught me everything I know when it comes to special teams. He taught me how to coach. He taught me what things to look for, how to coach specialists, how to coach different schemes. And he was years and years ahead of his time when it came to special teams. And he's one of the godfathers of the special teams world. He's very respected still to this day, even though he's been out of the league for a long time. He's somebody that I still look up to. I'll still shoot things or shoot text or calls to him and bounce things off of him because I value his opinion. So those are really the two guys that are the forefront in my mind that really helped shape me as a coach and as a person.
So your uncle gave you an opportunity. There's a guy named Darrin Simmons that is now a strength and part of the strength and conditioning staff with the Cincinnati Bengals. So, I mean, it goes from generation to generation. That's how you kind of broke into it, strength and conditioning, and the beat goes on, right?
Yeah. Well, when I got in the NFL, it was 1998, I think it was, and it was a dual role position. My title was I was assistant strength and conditioning, assistant special teams. I think when I got in the league, I was one of probably 3 assistant special teams coaches.
Wow.
And now every team has an assistant virtually, and there's a lot of teams that have 3 assistants, or a total of 3 guys. So I've seen kind of the evolution of the way the leagues has come about in the special teams world, and it's just become more and more and more involved, and it's become more and more specialized, kind of the way the position players have.
So, Coach, I can't thank you enough for your time. You've been very generous with it, and in my mind, there's nobody better dealing with special teams for the Cincinnati Bengals than Coach Darrin Simmons. I mean, league-wide, I know a lot of organizations are very envious and very jealous of the hands that the Cincinnati Bengals special teams are in Coach Darrin Simmons. So we appreciate you, appreciate everything you've done for this organization, for this community. You've become a valued member of the community, as well as not just the Cincinnati Bengals, but Cincinnati in general, sir. And we appreciate everything about you.
Well, very proud to call this place home. We've done it this is home to us. We've been here for 23 years. So very, very, very proud of this place and proud to be a part of this organization. So it's a two-way street.
I'm not sure here's to 23 more, but here's to a bunch more, Coach.
I don't know until it's gray. And when I got here, the stuff wasn't gray on the side. Now it's gray. So I don't know I don't know what the next step is. But
you look great, Coach. You look like you got a bunch of years left in you, my man.
Well, I don't know about a bunch, but I still got a few.
Appreciate your time as always. You're the best.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Always enjoy coming on.
Dave Lapham here. While games are over for the season, there's no off season for In the Trenches with Dave Lapham or First Star Logistics. First Star Logistics gave away great prizes during the season, which will continue with exclusive content in the First Star Media Group YouTube channel. So please do me a favor, subscribe to In the Trenches, hit the like button, and visit the First Star Media Group YouTube channel for exclusive content and special giveaways.